This is how to replace the string on your automatic chicken coop door opener. The only tools you will need is a screwdriver and a knife. You'll want to start by taking out the 6 to 9 screws out of the back side of the door. After you do this, the back panel will slide off easily, and you'll be able to see the inside of the motor. This tape here is to hold the power cord in, and what is a common reason for the motor to stop working and not making any noise is this wiggles out over time. So just pushing that firmly back in will cause the door to operate. And you can add more tape to this as well, and this shouldn't happen again. If you do find that your string is broken, then right underneath the motor, you'll find there are a few screws in here. If you take these out, this block of wood will come off of here. This motor just slides right out. And now you can look at it. You can take out all the string right there. You'll want to cut every bit of it out so that you can see the inside of the axle, and I'll show you in a second. There's actually a hole on the axle that you will thread the string through to make sure that it wraps around the reel correctly. And then when you reinstall it, you'll just slide it right back up in here, put those screws back in, and then you'll tie the other end to the top part of this door where there's a little hole already drilled for you. Okay, what I have here is about 3.5 feet of string in my motor. Now inside the motor, you will be able to see that there's a hole on the middle of the reel, right there in the middle, and that's what you want to thread your string through. That way it wraps around correctly. So what I'm going to do is just take the end of my string and thread it right through that hole so that it comes through the other side. And now I take it on that side, just pull it like this, and just tie a knot. Tie a few of them. When you do it, you just cross it and let it go all the way inside the thing, so it's tied up against the axle right there. And do that probably 3 or 4 times. Just pulling it real tight up against the axle so there's no slack. That slack can cause the line to wrap up around itself and it could break in the future, so you want that to be tight up against the axle so there's no slack. And then kind of pull it tight, and then take your knife and just cut off this excess string right here that you don't want anymore. Now, it should look like that, where the string is still going through that hole and it's wrapped up on the axle. Okay, now that you have your motor reinstalled into the door, you can tape this connection just to kind of hold that cord in there. And then you want to retie the string to the top of the door. There's going to be slack in the line, but that's good. You'd rather have slack than not enough. But just wrap it around through the hole a couple of times and then tie about 4 knots in it. And you want the door to go all the way to the bottom. You don't want it stopping like this because predators can reach their hand under there. You want it to go all the way flush against the bottom. Now what you want to do is, these actuators on the side here control how high and low the motor actually reels. So there's slack in the line right now, but we want that slack to be out of there, because if there's too much slack, the string can get wrapped around itself in the reel and cause the door to come up too high. If it reels up too high, it touches the top and it could actually burn up the motor, and that will void the warranty. You want the door to stop about right in here somewhere, about 4 or 5 inches away from the motor. Now how I'm gonna do this is I'm gonna unplug the motor, wait about 2 seconds so it can restart, and then I'm gonna plug it back in. Now it's reeling up the string right now, and it's a little tight, and it's not reaching the bottom, so I have to cause a little bit of slack to come in the line just so it can reach the bottom properly. So now I'm going to move this actuator all the way in till it clicks, but I'm going to give it one more click of space so that it allows the, okay, so now there's a little bit of gap there, so I'm going to push the switch back so it'll go the other direction. I'm going to plug it back in. And this is going to cause the door to go down just the rest of the way. Now, there is a little bit of slack, but that's okay. It's about 1 inch of slack right there. Here's straight. And that's about how much slack it has in the line. Now you can see the bottom of the door goes all the way, and it only goes 1 click at a time, and that's as far as you can get it without having too much slack. So now it goes all the way down. So we're going to try it again, and we're going to test to make sure it goes up high enough without going too far. So the door is reeling up, and you want to keep your hand close to this in case it reels too high. Alright, it stopped right there. Now if it didn't stop, you want to unplug it real quick, and this actuator on the other side of the motor, you want to make sure if it was out here, let's say it's out here, you want to be able to unplug that real fast, and then you want to move this all the way so it's touching the actuator, because you don't want it to move any further than that right there. So we want it to stop right there, and that's the perfect height right there. You don't want it any higher than that, because if that string ever does get wrapped up in there, you don't want it to reel the door too high and burn up the motor. You want it to stop right about there. And this door is coming all the way up inside here. Now what you could do, just if you are worried about it reeling up too high, the chickens can still come through, and you can have the door down another 1.5 inches, and that still gives them walking space here in the doorway. It's better to have it like this than to have it reel up too high. So we're going to have it test it to make sure it goes down the rest of the way. Yep, it does. There's that little bit of slack that we talked about, but that's okay. It's better that than there to be too much. And we want it to go down all the way. So I'm just going to test it one more time, just to make sure. And that's how you change the string on your automatic chicken coop door.